And the Grammy goes to Taylor Swift.
Today, we're diving into the hidden dynamics of Taylor Swift's recent Grammy win, and we'll be unpacking the question of, will she also win in her relationship, as far as the longevity, the endurance of her relationship with Travis Kelce. Before I go any further, I want to congratulate her for making history, Grammy's history, as the first and only woman solo artist to win the Grammy for Album of the Year 3 times. That's unheard of. So she is excellent at her craft. There's no question about that, right? She is iconic. She is legendary. And she's one of a kind. So I want to make sure that you hear me say that. So when I begin to unpack what I will share, you don't necessarily think I'm a hater of Taylor, because I'm not. And neither am I a Swiftie, as so many people are. I'm not one of those either. And I want to make that very, very clear at the very beginning. So she is excellent, as I said, at her craft. And we're going to see, is she also excellent at relationships, right? That will be the topic of discussion in this video. So I'll be sharing 3 potential issues that I see which could undermine and possibly end her relationship with Travis Kelce. Now, by the way, if you are new to this channel, I'm Kingsley Grant. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm also a certified relationship coach, and have been doing this for almost 2 decades. Plus, I've been married for 38 years as of this recording, 2 adult children. So I have been around for some time, and having worked with hundreds, literally hundreds of relationships over the many years, I've seen and learned some things that I believe I'll be sharing here, and you'll hear that in the way I approach this video right here. So the first point I want to make is this: rebounding too soon after a breakup. Rebounding too soon after a breakup. Now, as you might know, that Taylor Swift, she ended a relationship of 6 years in 2023. I think it was July, the mid part of 2023. Okay. Now, whenever a person ends any kind of relationship, especially when it's long term, there is a necessity or importance for the person to grieve a relationship. He said, Kingsley, come on, does everybody have to grieve? Every loss, my friend, needs to be grieved. And so when people jump from one relationship to another so quickly, like she did, because I thought officially she was, and I mentioned in a video that you can watch right here, that she started officially to date Travis Kelce in October of 2023. But people were commenting on the video, and someone said, no, they started in July of 2023. I'm thinking, it makes my point even more so that she jumped into a relationship too quickly. She had not recovered from her past relationship. And here's what I know: healing takes time. And when a person does not take the time to heal, then they're going to take that over into a new relationship. And so the new relationship will have to pay the price of the unhealed heart that came over into a new relationship. It's a Kingsley, well, what if a person heals very quickly? My friend, no heart heals that quickly, especially after a long-term relationship. Why? Because the life that you lived was kind of intertwined. And so you begin to create a new habit in your brain, create new pathways in the brain around that. So now to move from that to a new place so quickly, it doesn't just happen that way. I love this quote that says, sometimes the heart needs more time to accept what the mind already knows. And I love what the Bible said in Psalm 147, verse 3. It says, God heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. And so I do know that in this case, for Taylor, she had a broken heart in this relationship. He said, well, Kingsley, God, how do you know that? My friend, listen, if you're in a relationship that long and in love, and it no longer is there, then you're going to have a pain that you're carrying. Now, people do all kinds of things to cover that up, right? For her, it may be her music. It may be her traveling and entertaining her fans. It's one way to cope with a pain. Some people may go to the bottle or to the pill or to drugs and all kinds of things to soothe a painful heart. And I know the danger is what happened when you rebound so quickly from a relationship. Then what tends to happen is that it bleeds over into your new relationship. So her quick transition from the long-term past relationship to a new one raises questions about the necessity of allowing herself time for emotional healing and recovery. And I can tell you from the experiences I've worked with so many couples, so many people in relationships, and many who have been divorced or broken off a long-term relationship. And I've not yet met one person, especially women who have not shown signs or described to me the pain they're going through in trying to heal and recover and move on with their life in a relationship. I mean, from a breakup. I've not met one yet. Well, is there someone out there? Maybe, but I've not yet met that person. So I believe that that's one of the things that could undermine and possibly end their relationship. Second point I want to make is this. Now, before I make the second point is before I dive into this, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if at any point you're liking what you're hearing, make sure you hit that like button as well. Second point is relationship history and its impact. Relationship history and its impact. Now, some of these things that I've heard could be allegations, or it could be from a broken heart, because Travis Kelce himself is not innocent. He is not Mr. Innocent, because he have had his own past where you could, based upon what his exes have said, you could say a sordid past, right? Because he was dating Maya Branberry, who accuses him of cheating and who had this long-term relationship of 3 years with him. And she accused him of cheating, right? And she, I'm sorry, it wasn't 3 years, was a year. I mean, it was less than a year, because they met on this kind of show, and she ended up with him. And in her mind, everything led her to believe he was serious about her, loved her, and was going to marry her. That's what she had in her mind. That's what she said in her Inside edition of an interview they did with her some time back. But she also went on to say that he cheated on her, and her words was, once a cheater, always a cheater. Now, I'm not saying that she said that about him. And she also went on to say that he is a narcissist.
Travis is a narcissist, so most narcissists don't change.
That's how she described him. Now, those things are, again, I don't know, but if any of those is true, especially the last part, that he's a narcissist, then that's a red flag, because many people that I've, again, people can say narcissism and throw that word around so often. We hear it these days. Doesn't mean I believe it, but we hear it very often because it's now the buzzword. You are a narcissist. And if I get $1 for every time I hear that, I'd be very, very wealthy right now. But the point is that that's what she said about him. So apparently she had some issues in the relationship, and she believed that he also cheated on her. Now, again, I don't know that, but she is raising these things about him. So apparently, he is not just her, but also a second relationship that he was in. He was also in a long-term relationship with Kayla Nicole, and she hadn't made much public allegations or statements about the relationship, but they were in an on and off relationship for 5 years. Right? And so she mentioned that she had to move on from that. Her point, she made a point that I will never date another athlete. So obviously there was something happening in that relationship that caused her to get to the conclusion that she would never date another athlete. So that was also another issue. But here's also something I want to mention, and I want to mention this not from a standpoint of making this a racist thing, but it's interesting that his last 2 long-term relationships prior to Taylor Swift are people of color, women of color. Now, again, I'm not making a big issue of this. I'm just citing as an observation, and it creates curiosity and intrigue and made me ask a question. What is it about those two past relationships? Were they because he were serious about them, or were he just using them? I don't know. Again, I'm not making any allegations here. I'm just raising these things as questions that come to my mind, and it would require a little bit more research. But that's I want to mention as a side note, right? But the point is that he was in these long-term relationships as well. I love what Proverbs 22 verse 3 says. A prudent person foresees danger and takes precautions. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences. So I would say that you would think that he, and especially if he knew himself or know the past, and again, I'm not going to say, given the opportunity that he'd been given with Taylor Swift and her, I guess her popularity, her fame, her notoriety, all of those things, given that chance, I guess he would jump at that. And I don't blame him. I mean, who would not want to kind of feel they're in this relationship with one person who's an iconic figure who is known around the world and have all these fans around the world? So who would not want to jump at that chance? Well, some people like myself may not want to do that because, again, I'm not going to say, given that chance, if I wasn't married and it was in his situation, would I have also done the same? Probably. But the point is that I want to raise these issues because I see it so many times in people's relationships. And so his relationship history sheds light on the potential challenges and the importance of discernment, right, before entering into a new commitment. So could it be that he is also trying to jump from one relationship to another? Is it a scorecard? Is it about seek and conquer? Is there something to this that is a common denominator, which is him, that is at play that could be playing out and will play out in their relationship? I love this quote that says, history often repeats itself when the lessons aren't learned, when the lessons are not learned. And point number 3 is the media hype versus personal reality, the media hype. Now, as you know, the media can have such an impact and play such a major role in people's lives, right? And so when it comes to celebrity relationships, it's almost always in the spotlight. But it also poses challenges to live authentically because you have to live in the spotlight, and the media is creating this narrative about how you should live your life. They're almost like saying, this is what you need to do, this is where you need to go, and they're kind of propping things up and they're cheering on. And here's what I do know. The same media that cheers you on in the beginning is the same media that jeers you in the end. It cheers you in the beginning and jeers you in the end. We see it all the time, right? They love you today and hate you tomorrow. They shout, as in Jesus's case, Hosanna to the highest one day, and the next day, crucify him. That's what the media does. That's what hype does. I love this quote that says, true freedom is the ability to live life on your terms, not by the expectations of the others. And I love a scripture in Romans 12 verse 2 that says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Don't let the world squeeze you in its own mold. And that's what I'm thinking that's happening here with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. The media, the world, is squeezing them into a mold of how they should operate, how they should live their lives, and they're dancing to the tune that the world is creating for them. My question is, how long can you dance to that tune? Is that sustainable? Because is that authentic living? And again, I'm not here to judge. I'm raising these things as questions mark because I believe that they could be undermined and lead to the ending of their relationship. And my prayer is that it doesn't. My prayer is that they make this a long-lasting relationship. That's my prayer. I don't want to see anybody end up hurting. It's not my place because the Bible teaches about that. Do not rejoice in the bad news of other people. Don't do that. So I'm not here in any way hoping and vying, and I have nothing to lose or to gain. I mean, it doesn't matter to me what they do with their lives. But my point is, people who are looking on need to learn these lessons, need to hear these things so that they don't make the same mistakes or they don't think this is how it should be, right? So Taylor and Travis now face the task of living their lives for themselves and how to navigate the clash between media-driven narratives and the reality of building a solid, lasting relationship. And if it ends up in marriage, a long-lasting marriage. Now, that's why I talked about that in this video right here, because I unpack a bit more there as well. So it's important, my friend, that we have this self-awareness. We are very self-aware. That's what's important. I think that I would say maybe in Taylor and Travis's relationship, I could possibly say they lack self-awareness, right? And again, it's left to be seen. Time will tell. It's also important that I want to emphasize the need for healing from past relationships. Heal before you enter another relationship, because you do not want to take what your old self, what brought you to the relationship you'd had before. Again, I've worked with so many couples. I mean, people who will say to me, and they have a pattern. They said, I noticed a pattern in my relationships. Relationships. It seems I don't make good judgment. I don't make good selections. And I'm there to unpack with them and help them recognize maybe it's true. Maybe it's true, and I will highlight the things I'm hearing that will say this could be the reason why you might want to work on this, be more self-aware, and then learn from your mistake. Because life presents two things: what you want at the end of the day, or the lesson you need to get what you want. And that's what life presents. So I want you to reflect on your own relationships, where you are in your journey, and consider the importance of authenticity, and take the necessary time for personal growth. Take the necessary time for personal growth. So what are your thoughts on this? Does this make sense? Does this, in any of what I've just shared, what stood out to you the most? What would you say you would add to what I've just said? And I'd love to for you to comment below and tell me, what would you add? What would you highlight? Is there anything you heard that created like a new discovery, new knowledge? Let me know. Let's enter a conversation. Be kind, be nice, and let's go about doing this in a very civil and conversational way. I would love to hear from you about that. And also make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. And join me then, of course, in the next video as we continue to explore the intricacies of love and relationships, because that's what this channel is all about, and how to connect strong, and the lessons we can learn from the experiences of those in the public eye. But even though it's not all about that, but when it does come up, I want to teach and share those lessons. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below, and share this video with at least one other person. My friend, until next time, may God bless you, stay blessed, and we'll see you right here on this channel at the next time. Thank you for being here. God bless.